Hello and welcome, business leaders. It's a great honor to be hosting you this morning. This is going to be a fearless journey into a fearless space about you and your business. Now, I am one who has been inspired by amazing stories in the Bible about wealthy men that walked with God. When we look at Abraham, for example, one man who had 300 mercenary level fighting men in his household. Now that's something to behold. What were they protecting? How was he training? Why was he training an entire army? We know how good they are because they were able to overcome 4 kings who had just defeated 5 kings. These guys were good. His son Isaac planted in a drought and became so abundantly blessed that his neighbors said, perhaps maybe move away from us so that you're becoming too powerful and too strong for us. Then there was Jacob, who left his home running away from his brother with nothing. When he came back, he took a portion of his wealth as a gift for his brother. And when we look at the numbers of sheep, donkeys, camels, goats that he was able to send to his brother, we know that this man was wealthy. Then there was David, who out of his personal savings, his personal wealth, gave all the resources that were required to build the temple that Solomon later built, and it is said it was magnificent. Lastly, his son Solomon, who made gold as common as silver in a nation that was not mining any gold at the time. These stories and more tell me that God is interested about money and about wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, because it is He that gives you the power to make wealth." My name is David O. Sijenyi. People like to call me CJ. And here today we're beginning the Fearless Business. And this is a show that will be having conversations about what it means to run your business on kingdom principles. There's the way the world does business, then there's the way we of the kingdom need to do business. And my first guest on this show is none other than my father. He is an authority in my life. He has taught me many things, challenged me in many ways, but most of all is his passion to see businesses grow and create wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Pastor Muriithi Wanjau. Pastor M.
Yes, sir.
It is great to have you here this morning.
Absolutely.
We are making history.
We're making history, my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing. This is the first. I mean, it's been a long time coming,
You know,
but by God's grace, it is here.
it is here. You know, I look back to just how separately we've had dreams about what business conversations should look like,
Yeah.
about what it would look like to have conversations with business people about businesses from Africa
Yes.
providing solutions for the world
Absolutely.
and for the continent.
Absolutely.
You have been very passionate about this.
Yeah. I have. I mean, it's a story and it's a journey.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've always been excited about. And I think one of the things I'd say probably maybe 4 key spaces where I would say in the story of how we came here.
That's right.
To the place where I really believe right now we're getting into overdrive of equipping entrepreneurs, equipping people financially at a different level.
You can say that again, getting into overdrive.
Absolutely. And so the first step for us, quite a few years ago, I remember having almost accidentally started a staff savings scheme. And basically it was a voluntary one for people on the Mavuno team, the staff, to put aside a little money. And people are putting aside like 10,000 shillings, 5,000 shillings every month. And within the space of a couple of years, I mean, they had amassed such a tremendous amount of money that we were able to buy some significant pieces of land in really high appreciating areas.
Yeah.
And those were those days when land in Kenya was just the thing to buy. And I remember selling those, and people were able to make a hefty profit,
Wow.
Now that didn't go for as long as we'd have wanted because the staff member who was a visionary left. But I think it was just a taste, of what could be when people start to work together.
Yeah.
So that was like step number 1, just seeing the power of unity.
Yeah.
Second step for me was encountering Bishop Titus Masika. And I think you know this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I consider him one
Firebrand of a man.
He's one of my fathers, one of my mentors. And he's the guy who turned a village, like a sub-county, one of the poorest in this country, into a village of millionaires.
Wow.
I mean, and we're not talking millionaires like in, theoretical terms.
Yeah.
It's like guys with hard cash where they're earning monthly amounts that would make most people living in the city of Nairobi blush.
In this part of the world, when you put village and millionaire,
it doesn't seem to work.
Our minds start to refuse.
But I mean, if you've never been to see Bishop Masika's place, you need to go to Yatta. And we've taken a lot of people. I know you've been there.
Yes, it's an amazing
And finding
experience.
people who didn't even finish primary school.
Yeah.
And now every month, guys are making upwards 500,000 shillings a month and more.
Yeah.
Was so stunning for me. And I took people there for years. Many people went because they were thinking this is a way to learn agriculture. But for me, the question I kept asking is, if you can take poor people like this, turn them into millionaires, what about all these congregations we have in Nairobi?
Yeah.
What about these congregations we have in all these capital cities?
Yeah.
Why can't we do the same?
Yeah.
And I think I really became a student of understanding what principles should we learn, kingdom principles, that this man is using that are radically different from like worldly principles.
True.
And so I think that was for me the next thing. It was just like God just took the dream to the next level.
Yeah.
The third encounter was a guy called Dr. Wahome.
Yes.
And he spoke at Fearless, I think it was 2022.
Yeah.
This man came and just broke down for us how other communities create wealth, especially the Muslim community. And he used very, very basic, it was like, this isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
But he showed how you can enter an economy as a minority and hold that economy. And that's exactly what's happening in our nation today, and many nations across Africa as well.
Yeah.
But again, when he showed it to us, it was like, this is doable. Any church can do this.
Yeah.
We just have to have the mindset to be able to do this.
You speak about mindset, and for me, one of the things that has really stirred me up and irked me many times is when we're thinking about a church project.
Yeah.
And man, it takes months, it takes years to just raise what I can now say a few million shillings.
Yeah.
And many times when you talk to the people, you can see the struggle is real.
Absolutely.
The struggle is real. When you look at other communities putting up some magnificent setups in just a short time.
In a short time.
And you're like, what are we missing?
It's doable.
Yeah.
And I think that for me was what Dr. Wahome unlocked for me.
Yeah.
That, there's a formula.
Yeah.
Some of these things, it's not wanting, it's not psyching. It's like just, here's a formula, just be faithful with it. And that's, I think that this show is actually part of the formula, by the way.
That's right.
And we're going to be talking about that as we go along. But then the last step, and I think I said there were 4. So the fourth one was an experiment that my wife and I, Pastor Caro, did, is where we started something called Couples and Money. And again, you've been a part of that experience.
Yes.
And what we thought is, let's pilot these ideas. What would it look like to help begin to shift people's mindset about money? Yeah. And to date, we've probably taken about 700 couples through that experience.
Wow.
It's been interesting to see them be able to put together resources, because we started a savings, joint savings of over 300 million Kenya shillings. Yeah. And that's not a small amount of money. And it's not come from cajoling people. It's just come from, hey, let's work together. Yeah. So I think those are the things that those are the milestones, if you want to call them, on this journey. Yeah. Where right now I feel like God is saying, this is the time. Let's begin this journey. Let's equip my people to just go to the next level of understanding the kingdom, understanding wealth, and being able to dominate this space, enter this space for the sake of God's kingdom, and prosper and thrive in it. So that's you asked me about the journey. That's what the journey has been.
You've led many people through life. Your story is one of transformation. I mean, starting Mavuno Church from literally just a church plant sent out, you've impacted many people's lives. But I'm seeing you, and every time I've listened to you, I've had this passion to talk about business. Why a fearless business show? Why a business conversation at this level?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'd say, like, this is why, and as I answer, it's not why Mavuno. I think it's why every church must equip its people to understand business and to become good in it. And I think one of the things I need to just say right from the beginning of this show, this is not just for people who are running their own enterprise. Because whenever we think business, we think of somebody who is running a business. Yeah. So if you're employed, you're like, that's not for me. I really think that every single one of us is in business, whether you're aware of it or not. If you're employed somewhere, you basically are an entrepreneur. Sometimes people use the word intrapreneur. You're an entrepreneur on the inside of someone else's enterprise. But what you're doing is trading your expertise, trading your resources, trading your time for the sake of getting a financial reward. That's what every business person does. So what we're saying is all of us must learn to think in an entrepreneurial way, and the church must equip us to do that. Now, there's many reasons. I mean, one of the first ones is just the huge untapped potential that exists within the church.
Huge untapped potential.
Huge untapped potential.
Tell us about this potential, because some of our churches need breakthrough.
You know, many of our churches are sitting, I mean, we've got members in our churches that have education, that have expertise, that have thinking ability.
Yeah.
That is huge. It's vast. It's just potential, you know. And the thing about potential, you need to understand, is that it just remains potential until it's turned into something else.
True.
So the church,
what they call latent potential.
It's latent potential. But you can die with potential, and that's a tragic thing. And I think that's where our continent, Africa, has been. They say Africa has 1.4 billion people. We have maybe 60% of the world's untapped arable land. That's in a world where food and those kinds of things are becoming huge.
Yes.
We have 60% of the untapped arable
60%
land.
is huge.
We have huge percentages of the most critical minerals. You talk about the cobalts, the titaniums, the things that are used in mobile phones. Majority of those minerals come from Africa. We have so much potential, you know. And then when you talk about this percent, we're 20% of the world's population, 1.4 billion. And we're the youngest population. So in terms of energy, in terms of the ability potential, Africa is full of potential.
So what explains this poverty?
But you know, when you talk about the world's productivity, we have 3% of the world's productivity. I mean, that's tragic, isn't it?
That's tragic.
And I think part of it is because we've not understood ourselves. We're still trying to use models that were picked out elsewhere. As an African people, we've not come into understanding what God has called us to. And I feel like this is true of every church. You know, we need to understand, how do we tap the potential that is sitting in our pews?
That's right.
If we can just get people equipped, working together, boom, we're going to see something, you know, because the Bible says, remember the Lord your God. You quoted that verse. It is he who gives you the ability to make wealth. God gives us the ability. So as God's people, we need to get into God's word and begin to just unlock the potential in our people. And you know, 80% of Christian people in Kenya call themselves Christians. But the Christian percentage of, you know, that 80%, the percentage contribution to the global productivity is so much less than the other percentages. But I think it's not because we don't have sharp people, we don't have resources. It's because we haven't learned how to just turn them from the latent into what they're supposed to be. The Church of Jesus, we must become serious about this.
We must become. But we are doing business. I mean, when I look around, those who are not employed are involved in some kind of business. And sometimes even the ones who are employed, Pastor M, are in a number of businesses here. If they're not selling eggs, they're selling the chicken. If they're not selling the chicken.
We'll talk about that, because the second reason why churches must equip people. I mean, it's easy, because being a hustler is not the same as being like getting into the top of economic productivity. You know, it's not about activity. It's not about busyness and franticness. It's about being productive. And so the second thing we need to understand, and why we must equip, why a show like this, is because the world's economic system is completely opposed to God's economic system.
Oh, come on now.
So it's like we're playing a game, and we think if we play it hard enough, it's going to help us win it. You know? So if you look at a lot of equipping for even Christian businesses, it's almost like take the world's playbook, you know, learn from the Elon Musks. I mean, when you go to any seminar, I mean, they're going to be using very impressive names. This is what, and they use terms from the world. They use economic principles from the world.
I mean, as a trainer, I have
we quote all these guys. Look at what they did. They got this. But we don't understand that the world's economic systems, first of all, are toxic and enslaving. And secondly, they are opposed to the biblical economic systems. I mean, think about one of the examples I like to give is Joseph. In the Bible, this guy got a dream from God, legitimate dream. There's going to be plenty and then poverty. So what does he do? He's made the prime minister. And so he's in charge now of the national response. And he does something brilliant.
And that was just an amazing turnaround.
I mean, he turns around that nation. He collects all the resources. He saves. So that when the time of drought comes, the global meltdown comes, Egypt is the only country ready to feed the world.
Yeah.
So all of us are like, well done. I mean, that's awesome. But think about it, because what I think that Joseph did is he used a playbook that was the world's playbook. I think God gave him the vision of what was coming, but I don't think God gave him the vision of how to respond. Because here's what happens with Joseph's system. When you read it, there are a few uncomfortable things there. Number one, by the time he is done, the whole of Egypt is enslaved.
To
the
Pharaoh.
king.
Yeah.
The Pharaoh now owns everybody.
That's
Their
true.
production. If you've read the story, it's
That's
crazy.
true, yes.
So yes, they're eating, but they no longer are owners of their destiny. Somebody else owns them.
In fact, what's so shocking, and I'd never seen it before until when I read it again, is at the end, they're like, we have nothing. You've taken everything.
Now we'll serve.
Take us.
We are servants now.
Take our children. And they even commit generations
to become slaves. Yeah. And now, unknowingly, what Joseph is doing, he sets up a system that eventually enslaves his own people.
Wow.
Because his family comes down to Egypt, and then they become slaves for 400 years. Who set up that system?
Oh.
You would call it a follower of God.
What was supposed to be a liberation?
Exactly. A guy who took a revelation from God, but then instead of asking God for the how, he used the world's how. And as a result, enslaved an entire nation.
Oh, come on, Pastor M.
So this is one of the reasons why we must, as a church, we must think different from the world. We must equip people, because all our people are hustling. They're doing everything they're seeing their neighbors doing. They're reading the same business books they're quoting the same people they're seeing their neighbors quoting.
Yeah.
And then they're hoping for a kingdom result. But we don't stand out. And I think that's part of the challenge. And one of the reasons, I told you there's reasons why we must do this. This is one of the reasons. We're not just a show to talk about how to become rich. We're not just going to be telling you what everybody else tells you. There's a distinction in this show.
I can tell you, my business model is already being shattered right here. and I can't wait to hear
it's radical.
what it will take to rebuild that. We're looking at radical conversations.
We have to tear this thing down and rebuild it again. And that's I'm hoping we can do that with this amazing show.
Amazing.
I mean, another thing is, most people, in fact, almost everybody, spends more time at their workplace than they do in church, with their spouse, with their children, or even sleeping or eating. Like you spend more time in the office than anything else you do in life.
Oh, yes.
So again, the church must equip you for that part, because that's it seems like it's a part you give the most of your time to.
That is really
So it would be crazy for me to equip you for worship on Sundays, which you do for 2 hours.
Yes.
But then the rest of the week, where you give 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I'm not equipping you for that. And so you're asking, why do we have a show like this? It's because it's essential. You know, I'm really praying that this can become something that's a legacy going forward, where we equip you to thrive, to shine, to become everything that God wants you to be in that space. Okay. So, I mean, those are just 3 reasons. I mean, I can think of more, by the way. But, you know, it's interesting. Like, you run a business.
Yeah.
You are a corporate trainer. You do many of those things. You also run a church.
Yes.
But even for you, I want to put it to you. You spend a lot more time running the business than you spend running the church.
I do. I do.
So I mean, I can help you run the church, which is awesome. But if I don't help you with this part, then it's a failure.
Then we've got a problem, especially because as a bivocational pastor, where I'm really giving to the church.
Yes.
There's no income coming from the church necessarily. And if my business is not working out, that's a challenge right there.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
But even as we've been doing this, my eyes have been opening to just the fact that there's a different way my business needs to be running for me to be able to focus rightly, correctly on my ministry.
Oh, I love that.
And especially in this time when we've been having conversations around what it looks like to go to all the world and make disciples. Did you know that a business can go anywhere?
I love that.
If you try planting a church right now in one of our neighboring countries, you'll be in trouble. Yeah. It's not as easy. And maybe even here, just registering a church, a new church, is not easy.
The last 10 years, the process of planting a church in another country has infinitely become more difficult. Like, most people don't even realize how closed even Africa has become to new expressions of the gospel. And so, and I think for me, that's another reason. You've even added a 4th reason there. We must have a show like this to equip people, because business is the most effective form of mission. Like, your business is the expression of God's kingdom, you know. And for you can go places with that business that your church can never get into.
Pastor M, one of the things church has been accused of is being very detached from reality of doing business. In Kenya, for example, where we are piloting this show, and there's always the feeling of, what are you really going to tell us that's different from what we're experiencing in the marketplace? We've tried to apply our principles. We've tried to apply our church principles, but we seem not to be making any headway. In fact, it seems like business is even harder. The landscape is getting difficult. It has been difficult. How do we feel this show is going to turn this around for me as a believer doing business?
I think that's a phenomenal question. Huh?
Yeah.
And I think it's not just in Kenya, it's in Uganda. Mavuno, I was just there a little while back. Phenomenal church, Mavuno Church is there. But we have presence in many different countries. I really believe the staff here, even outside of Africa, and I believe this show is going to actually become relevant to every single place where we're working. Huh? Because, again, when you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was laughing about earlier is I was saying, if you want to be a good rugby coach, you don't get a rugby player.
Yeah.
You don't get a cricket coach, because it doesn't matter even if you get the best cricket coach in the world,
True.
he can't help you become a rugby
help
player.
you with rugby at all.
And unfortunately, we've been getting the coaching of the world to help us run kingdom businesses.
Hey, come on now.
You get.
Okay.
So yes, we've been trying, but part of the reason we're failing is because of ignorance. I really believe, and for me, the example of Bishop Masika makes it clear to me.
Yeah.
He could go into a place where there were no presuppositions, and in 10 years, turn every single person there into a wealthy person. I admire Yatsa, because when you drive into his place, they don't even have roads. The government hasn't even done their roads.
True.
But even without those roads, those guys are exporting crops to nations.
Yeah.
They're adding value to their crops. You're going to find, I remember that's one of the few places I know in Kenya where you drive and you find a fat, grade A cow. Those ones you see in the showground. Huh? And it's just crossing the road and nobody's looking after it.
Where's that from?
And
What's
you're thinking,
that about?
This thing won't be stolen. But why would nobody steals? Because everybody has enough.
Yeah.
You think about that. Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing. Because even driving down, you're told you're going to this place. You've never been there. And then all the city leaves, you leave it behind.
Yep.
Then all the posh, nice urban housing, you leave behind. Then suddenly there's a bit of wilderness. Then now there's proper savanna. Dryness upon dryness.
Yes.
And then the tarmac ends. And they're like, are we still going?
And it ends for a while.
Ever getting to this place?
No.
And then in the middle of this sun-scorched vegetation, there's greenery.
Yeah.
Fresh greenery, like it's receiving water from an oasis.
Then you start to see stone houses.
Yeah.
Nice houses that you're like, this could fit somewhere else.
Modern urban houses.
The churches are built, the schools are stone.
It looks like the place was bought and put there.
The kids there are in full school uniform. They have new shoes.
Oh, yes.
And you're thinking, is this a dream? Where is this?
Yeah.
But that's because of mindset shifting. Huh?
Yeah.
And I feel like, for me, that's what I believe has been missing in the body of Christ. It's easy to think what we're going to be talking about is like, okay, you're just going to hype us more.
Yeah.
You're just going to help us get excited more and work harder. That's not what we're talking about. I really believe that kingdom, this fearless business, it's going to help us rewire our thinking. It's going to rewire our businesses. It's going to help us start thinking completely opposite from the way the world thinks.
Yeah.
And the world has different things. I could give a couple of ways that the world thinks that's very different. Huh?
Yeah.
In the world, even when you go to business coaching, and it's a secular business coach, and sometimes even Christian business, you get coaching that will almost help you think that money is everything. Money is everything. But in the kingdom, God is my provider.
That's right.
I seek the kingdom, and these other things follow.
Oh, yes.
So money is not everything. Money is a tool, But unfortunately, we're not taught that.
Yeah.
So you find like I want my business to thrive.
Yeah.
And the question is, why?
Yeah. So the joke at Zion City is that the pastor makes significantly more than he made before he planted a church.
That's
and
crazy.
It's all coming from the church. Eh?
That's insane. That's a testimony and a half.
Yeah.
before you started a church,
and we've been tracking.
You're in business,
and we've been tracking. So
but you've actually seen your So I mean, that's for most people in the secular space. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, why is that a coincidence?
Yeah.
But I always say that miracles always look like coincidences. Eh? It's like until you start piercing them, and you're like, there's too many coincidences. If lightning strikes one place 10 times, you have to start saying, okay, it's more than a coincidence.
It's more than a coincidence.
There has to be some research to tell you why is it doing that. Huh?
Yeah.
So I feel like the first thing is we need to move away from money is my provider and move into God is our provider.
Wow.
And because God is my provider, then I'm seeking his purpose first. That's going to be, and I think whenever we do this Fearless Business Show, I think that's going to become clear, because that's what we're saying is, how do we begin to even help people write mission statements for their business that begin to reflect the bottom lines of the kingdom.
That's right.
And we'll talk about kingdom bottom lines.
Wow.
Huh? But again, another thing that I feel like secular business coaching teaches you is a lot of times it's more about competition than about collaboration. We're always like, what's the competition doing? How do you become better than the competition? Because the idea comes from this closed mentality of there's not enough. If you become wealthy and you're my competition, it means I've become poor.
I'll become poor. Surely.
That's the economic system of the world, But I think that one of the things we need to start learning is in the kingdom, it is like none of us lacked anything. So I want my business to become an ecosystem. So I'm thinking of Pastor CJ and his business growing.
Yeah.
But then it means everybody in his church has business, because when you're a collaborative kingdom thinker, you're thinking, if my business has 20 branches, who's providing water for those branches? Maybe somebody in my church I can even train them to start doing that. What are the services that I need? Service providers. How do I raise up a whole community?
That's right.
And I think there's some communities that do that really well.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking about the fact that we're moving in a different direction. We're stronger together, So that's another difference. Huh? You talked about scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
The fact that in the world there's that idea that there's only a limited number of resources. But kingdom mentality is about abundance. Our God is a God of abundance. He's the one who looked at chaos and said, let there be.
I talked about abundance for so long, Pastor M. I started to doubt it myself.
Abundance is a thing, my guy.
Because everyone else you met seems to be thinking, that abundance you're talking about, we ain't seeing it.
No. Abundance is a real thing. Huh? There's no market. I don't believe there's any such thing as your market is saturated. Your gift can't, I really believe that God can give you one kingdom idea that unlocks a whole market.
Wow.
Yeah. You can be selling land, everybody else is selling land like you, but God gives you one idea and you start, your business goes like this, and everybody's wondering, how are you thriving in this economy? So that's the whole thing. Whenever people talk about, it's a hard economy, I say it's hard for who? Because it's not hard for everybody. There's some people, and sometimes people for wanting to be humble say it's a hard economy, but actually no. There are certain things you need to know that help you begin to understand God's economy is very different from the world's economy.
COVID time opened my eyes to
there you
that.
Go. Absolutely.
I remember we were trying to buy a car just after just around COVID time, actually. And I remember we went to the yards, and the yards we had been to a year before, full of cars growing grass, had no vehicles. There's the showroom. Then there's the yard where they keep the cars before they bring it to the showroom.
They were all gone.
No vehicles, all gone.
I know.
People bought houses.
I was trying to buy a car at that time. It was quite an ordeal.
People bought houses that when you hear the figures, you're like, where were these guys getting money from? But it's just operating a different economy.
Absolutely.
For me, and I began to realize there's a place you reach where global disasters are mere inconveniences.
Absolutely.
They just slow things down for you a bit, but they don't stop you.
And even that slowed, I'm one of those people who built a house during COVID. Huh?
Yeah.
And
how magnificent.
Built it
that,
cash,
by the way. Yeah.
So again, and it wasn't because I robbed a bank or because I'm a pastor of a church. Yeah. It had nothing to do with any of those things. Yeah. So and again, I'm hoping that in this show, we can actually teach things like those and get really real. Huh?
True.
Ask business people hard questions. Like when you say you built in COVID, what does that even look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the world economy is very different from the biblical economy. And I think that's one of the things I really believe that this show will be seeking to expound as we talk about what does it look like? Why is your business thriving differently from other people's businesses? Huh? Yeah. So those are some of the things that are different. I think one of the common ones is the world teaches debt is opportunity. Whereas the scripture teaches debt is slavery.
Yeah.
So in the world, you're going to be equipping your business so it can actually get to a place where it can borrow to the max, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, Kingdom is thinking about business in a very different way. I always say there's so many different presuppositions in the prevalent capitalistic model of business. People are like, borrow because you need to move faster.
Yeah.
You know, and for
You
me,
need
I'm
to
like,
accelerate.
yeah, I look at the
You need to scale.
and I'm hoping we'll talk about that in one of the episodes.
We have to. We must. We only must.
Because there's some really startling things people need to understand about that. Huh?
Oh, it's one of those
not
topics.
the accelerator that people think it is.
Yeah, it's one of those topics that I'm sure will raise some serious.
It's not the for your business. It's not the accelerator many people think it is. It comes with inherent challenges that many people don't talk about. So again, that's a kingdom way. I mean, in the world economy, there's a way that now American capitalism has taught us: scale your business, get it investor ready, sell out.
Yeah.
Then go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
You have a liquidity event. You've sold your business for, and everyone's like, that guy really did it. What people don't talk about is what happens to your employees when you do that. What happens to your product, your dream, the thing God asked you to solve up. Because most times what the investor does, they come by it. And then what are they doing? They're also doing the same thing, isn't it?
Yes.
So you're going to find they take the same business, they cut it down for parts, then they sell it to the next guy because they're just trying to make it profitable.
Yeah.
So you're going to find the wages will go lower.
Yeah.
They're going to be a lot harsher with the staff.
Yes.
They're going to cut down the quality of the product. I can name businesses in this country that every time they acquire, the quality goes down.
We could do quite a
There's
list.
a pretty important not hospitality, a restaurant chain
yes.
that's been sold several times. And I won't mention names on this show. But every time there's a sale, you notice the quality goes down.
I don't know if it's the same restaurant. I
I'm
know
sure it is.
But I remember when it reached the climax, they had blue soap. I was like, we've lost it. It's over. It's a wrap.
But see, the next investor has to figure out how to make money.
Yeah.
Whereas business was always a way to solve problems. God gave you a vision that will uplift people's lives, that will solve problems for generations, that people will always be grateful for your business. And when you think that way, then you start thinking multi-generationally. What will this business look like as we keep solving this problem long term?
Yeah.
So that short-term thinking that the world teaches and celebrates, we're saying that's a world thinking. I think in this show, we want to teach a very different
approach. You know, being a student of business, one of the things that has been really shocking and surprising is just how currently, even happening now, businesses are cutting jobs.
Yep.
And it's so prevalent. It feels like every other, and the keyword you hear is restructuring.
And it seems very normal. It's the way businesses survive. Yeah.
And restructuring has become synonymous with jobs being lost and people losing their jobs. And for some of those, there's nowhere for them to go. Because the next job they would have gone to, or the next organization they would have gone to, is also restructuring.
Yes.
And so there's such...
So the loyalty of the business is to the shareholders' bottom line.
Oh, yes.
Regardless.
Oh, yes.
You know, so and so it's seen as justifiable. It's like we fired that 10,000 people, 5,000 people, 200 people to safeguard the shareholders' interest. We had no loyalty to people. We had no loyalty to planet. We had no loyalty to other things beyond that bottom line. And that's a very worldly way of thinking. So why this show? I guess we're still answering why this show. It's because there's such a need for us as believers to think differently about business, to add value to this world, to multiply, fill the earth, and have stewardship, take dominion of this planet. Those are biblical mandates, and as Christians, we must understand how to do them.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. How are we hoping that this will shift the way the culture, business culture, at a macro level?
You know, for me, I really believe that in the next few years, Mavuno will be a very different context. And I don't speak first to Mavuno. I know there are people from other churches who are going to be watching this. I pray there will be. And I pray that even other churches will begin something that is similar. I know there are churches already doing it. I'm really excited about that. But I pray that this will actually become normal in the body of Christ. You know, not a sub thing, but actually a central part of some of what we're doing in this season. I really believe that the world is heading towards challenging economic times. Right now, we are in the middle of a world order. You know, and every time a world order shifts, there's chaos. And so we are entering into chaotic times. COVID was just a precursor of some of the things that we're going to expect. I think it was just like a warning bell. But I think we're going to enter into some challenging economic times as economic dominance begins to seesaw and finally shift.
Yeah.
And what that is going to mean is that the rules of the game are going to change in business. So I really believe that these are the times for us as Christians to be prepared.
Yeah.
And how do I believe that we're going to change the conversation is by stopping to play by the rules that the world sets for us, because those rules are always rigged. The game is always rigged. Let me just say this game, the house always wins. Whether it's economics, whether it's politics, the house always wins. I've been telling my Gen Z friends, shouting things in the streets is great, but it's not going to change the game. We have to now stop agonizing and start organizing. And I really believe that this show, the idea is let's organize, because as we build spiritual principle and as we build spiritual foundations, we then need to build economic foundations for the house of God, for people of God, which ultimately, and I'll say this very lightly, will lead to political foundations as well. But there's a way that we need to, yes, we call out all the bad things we see out there, but that can't be our only response or the end of our response. The next thing is then how do we organize ourselves so that we create a solution? And we begin to actually impact the culture. Our mission as a church is turning ordinary people into fearless influencers of society. So we have to organize ourselves because just being in church and saying we're fearless won't do it.
True.
So we have to now start organizing so that we're releasing these fearless influencers into every sector, starting with business and overflowing into it. See, business touches every sector.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have businesses here that are going to be in the family sector, impacting the family sector, in the entertainment sector, in the whatever other sector there is. Business is really at the core. And so as we teach business principles, I believe we're going to impact every other mountain, every other sector of society.
And the moment you start talking about the different sectors, it then just shifts from that mindset of business to providing value.
It's value.
Because the moment you're providing value, then people exchange their measure of value.
And you can't pass on this value without understanding business.
That's right.
Because even if you want to do health or beauty or education or sports, the backbone of it all is understanding business.
Wow.
And when you understand business, you can scale, you can change the world.
Wow. It looks like we're in for a treat over the next few episodes that we will be having this conversation. Now, Pastor M, how do I position myself? I'm a business person. There's the other programs I've been part of. There's some of us who've been called serial. You're in every other accelerator program.
That helps your business move fast.
Especially if it promises funding at the end of it all. How do I position myself to draw the most out of this?
Yeah, it's a great question. I really think that this program is a catalyst, because as we do the business show, there's other things and we'll be talking about them in the weeks to come.
That's right.
We have a business school, the Fearless Business School, and that's going to be a really important accelerator for us. And again, we're not just doing any course. We're really talking about kingdom business. Things that help you to begin to stand out. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with learning the principles, doing programs in other places. There's nothing wrong. But I feel like our hope is then this can actually begin to mess with your mind so you can critique the things you're learning. And you're able to keep the good ones, but then be able to say, this is not aligned with my faith. So hopefully there will be some mind shift happening. We're also going to talk about the fact that we're going to be forming networks, business networks. And already the process has begun. I mean, I think we're going to be talking about that in this show as well. And I'm excited about some of the things that are happening as people begin to come together as community, because that's part of the system that I'm talking about. Some of the things I learned from Bishop Masika is beginning to understand, first of all, you have to have a transformed mindset. Your mind has to start thinking. By the way, the mind is a powerful tool.
It is.
When your mind is already completely thinking differently, you will approach life where people see obstacles, you see opportunities.
I always joke that every time I have experimented with shifting my mind on something, it completely changes my outcomes and outlook.
It does. And let me tell you, when your mindset is shifted, man, you look at the situation right now, you don't worry like everybody else.
Right.
Because you're asking, in the crisis, there will be an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right now, there are people who are going to make, even in COVID, there are people, the wealth of the rich increased dramatically during COVID. So when everybody else was struggling, the greatest wealth that has ever been made in this planet was made during that same time.
Wow.
So we want to start thinking as God's people, what does that look like for us? You know, how do we shift our mindset so we stop panicking like everybody else? So I really think that the idea of this show is to give us that constant input every week, that we have this sense where we can now begin to think through it's almost like this is a service for your business. You know, there's a church service that will teach you everything else, but consistently, every week there's an input that helps you think different about your business. But then there's an ecosystem around it, which is a Kingdom Business School that hopefully will be featuring a lot in this show.
That's right.
But then the second step is an empowered mindset. An empowered community. So transform mindset, but then empowered community. How do we build a community of people who think alike? There's no people in this world who haven't made it when they work together. Like when you look at the people who are the most successful globally, it's not that individual who's rich and everybody else around them is poor.
True.
It's when entire communities arise, you know? So one of the things that we hopefully will be able to help us turn around is when we start working together as communities. And the business networking, which we're going to be featuring soon, is actually a part of that. You know, how do we start working together?
And this is really where you're telling us, stop doing that thing you're doing by yourself over there in the corner.
No, there are people to help you. There are people we can work with. You know, as you grow the next person, they grow you as well.
One of the things I've been trying to do, in the recent past is giving work to my community, my family. And you know, we've been taught some weird things
never
about
trust your
what that is.
Oh,
nepotism and all. But I'm like, but these guys are looking for work and they can do this thing. Then people in my church, I expand it and take it to people in my church.
Come on.
These people are people, I know their expertise, I know what they can do. So beginning to just share that. And then it's been interesting just observing. Of course, there's things that we need to improve on.
Absolutely.
And
there are risks
to this,
with
I
it.
can't wait. There's definitely risks.
But
there is.
The most successful businesses in the world are actually family-run businesses. And that's the other side. You know, the world teaches you it's nepotism to raise up people who are close to you. But actually, the kingdom, you find that as you rise, the people around you rise. That's why the Church of Acts, there was not a single needy person among them. So imagine if in your church, there's no poor person.
Wow.
Like that was a mindset. You know?
Oh, the things I would do.
Imagine.
You know my stories. And,
wealthy people all around, you know.
And that community center that's coming up.
Absolutely. And so that's the second thing is we're going to work together to say, how do we build networks, communities, where there's no jobless person, where there's nobody who's struggling in their business.
Right.
Because it's like we support each other.
Wow.
But then the third step, and again, we're going to talk about that in this show, is really the infrastructure. So what Bishop Masika did in each of these, for the first one, he built training.
Yes.
He would actually equip people, you know? It's kind of like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And get them to stop thinking the way they're thinking, the way their ancestors had thought for generations.
Yes.
That had led them to frustration and
poverty.
Poverty.
And it's all our ancestors.
Yeah,
because all our shags look some type of way.
And
all
the problem is even
homes.
the stuff we're learning from the West, it creates, we live in the most disparate world when it comes to just inequality.
True. That's
so
true.
even the things we're learning from the West about creating wealth are just creating inequality around us.
Wow.
So it's like what he did is he got his people and said, that's poverty mentality. Let me teach you what the scriptures teach or talk about it. So first thing is transform mindset. Then the next thing he did is he got them to work together as a community. So they would support each other. It's like, I want my neighbor to prosper. So all of them would say, okay, it's CJ's turn. We're going to work on his farm today. He needs to get a dam or a water pan. Everybody in the village comes and they leave their farms and they dig yours. Then the next day they go to the next guys. And within a few months, every single person in the locality had a pan dug that they would have needed to hire tractors, which they didn't have money for. And all these years they'd been waiting, saying, we don't have. Can the government help us?
Amazing.
Then they realized when we work together, we have the resource. So the second step now for us is saying, how do we now translate that as a community and begin to work together to lend each other resources so that we lift each other up? Now, the third thing he did, once people were working together and now things were flowing, the resources were flowing, people began to create a little cushion for themselves. Now, he created what you call the wealth infrastructure. And those were now the accelerators. So now, for instance, everybody's now learned how to grow really high value sweet potatoes in their farms. So the next thing is, how do we put a little resource together, get a very simple sweet potato processing plant.
Oh, yes.
And start creating sweet potato flour.
I've eaten the sweet potato bread
and
from
create
that
sweet potato. And then they have a bakery that does.
Oh,
by the way, the
amazing.
bread from that bakery hardly reaches the main road.
Oh, yes.
Like it's bought out. All the two little shops finish it, and they produce a lot.
You have to order.
They don't even have to export it.
You have to order.
You have to
get
order
yours
it. And
tomorrow.
for it to reach Nairobi is almost impossible because everybody
Nairobi,
there wants
Nairobi,
it. You know?
That's a rumor.
And so again, the accelerator, because of creating a system, a wealth creation system, it accelerates the wealth of the whole community.
Wow.
So now for us, we're going to be asking, what are the wealth creation systems that as we as Bavuno Church, we as a community need to create, and that every church needs to create. So that's how this show begins to become, like I say, it's a catalyst.
Wow.
Because it's a thing that anchors all these three legs as we're now jumping forward and saying, as a community, it's a new day. Let's accelerate. Let's become who God is calling us to be.
I can't wait to see what this will look like as we take this.
And I mean, it's already happening. So some of the things I'm talking about are already happening, and we're going to be learning about it. It's not like theory. There's actually things on the ground. There's boots on the ground. There are people doing things. And it's just you're going to start feeling the impact very soon.
Amazing. Pastor M, what excites you about this? What excites you about what we're starting here today? Many years we look back. Many years we will look back and we'll be like, wow, look at where we started.
Yeah.
What excites you about what we're starting here today?
I think that for me, we've always looked around and said, look at that community. Look at how wealthy they are. Look at that other community. Look at how wealthy they are. There's some communities in this country, and we can talk about them another time, where nobody's poor. Like, they're the ones who own sectors, you know. And often, we always look at that as it's just the way it was rigged to be. That's just the way the world was created, you know. That's how these guys are meant to have the wealth.
Yeah. It feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, it does. So what's exciting for me is that in the next few years, I truly believe that will be true of us.
Wow.
You know, people will be looking at our community as a church movement. And hopefully not just us, but several other church movements that are doing the same thing.
Wow.
And saying, look at those people.
Wow.
They own the resource.
Wow.
But then it's not these guys who they make money so they can buy Lamborghinis and gold chains and show off in Dubai. That's not the whole idea.
Yeah.
The whole idea is, look at these people, they have purpose.
Yeah.
They have justice, they have compassion, they're changing their community.
Yeah.
They're starting children's homes. They're impacting their communities, you know.
Yeah.
So I really believe, for me, when I think about this, I'm like, this is it, man.
Yeah.
You know, and their faith is growing. They're passing it on to their children. I really believe that Africa, this is a time, when you talk about the Christian faith, this is Africa's time.
Yeah.
Because they say that Christianity has always had footholds or strongholds in different continents. Started in the Middle East, moved to the north of Africa, then it moved to Europe, went to America. They say today, literally, Christianity, this is the stronghold of Christianity. There's more Christians here than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
But we're not doing what was done for us. All these other ones, they send out missionaries, they were passionate about. But for us, the challenge has always been resource.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So again, another thing I'm really excited is to see the African church arising, sending out missionaries, people going out and saying, let my business take me to another country so I can help start a church there. Places where churches are not even able to register, but I can go, you know?
Well, I'm excited.
And they'll be excited to welcome us because they can see the impact we're giving to the community.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is exciting. And then seeing our kids grow up in a different reality as we shape this reality together, as we work together as a community.
You know, two things come to mind, and that's so powerful. Two things come to mind. One has been my passion to see African businesses really play significant roles in the global landscape. Businesses born out of Africa by, and without any bias, by Black Africans begin to actually take hold of global economies.
Absolutely.
But number two is that as we travel the world preaching the gospel, I remember when you'd see Bishop T.D. Jakes travel to Kenya, and there's a contingent of business people.
Serious business people.
And someone else, Bill Winston, traveling, and there's a contingent of business people. I can't wait for you to be part of that contingent.
Oh, yeah. We'll be going, and you know, the amazing thing is,
the business people.
Because we're a global movement.
Exactly.
You know? So it'll be like, hey, let's take 100 business people, 1,000 business people. Let's go to West Africa. We can take some people from East Africa and go there. Let's take a group of African businessmen. Let's go to the US. I mean, there's opportunities here to really impact.
Yeah.
And it's not impact the way that impact was given to us, because we have something to add. You know, when you look at the East right now with the rising of the Chinas and others, they're excelling in business, but not using the same values that the West has.
True.
I believe that there's some beautiful things God has entrenched in us as an African people.
Amazing.
Our hospitality, our communality, family spirit. There's things about us, our sense of humor. There's just things about us that are beautiful and strong. And I believe that as we begin to understand that as well, we become proud of who we are, you know, and we give value to others. It's not even about competing. It's about saying, for a very long time, we've always been recipients.
Yeah.
But wow, a time is coming when now we can be the ones who are donors.
Yeah.
We can be the ones. You know, at Couples and Money, we'd always laugh with my wife because we'd always give this word picture. We'd always tell people as they're graduating, imagine this group of tourists on a cruise ship. And the tourist ship, the ship docks in some place in Southern Europe, you know, Italy or something. And out come like 300 people.
Yeah.
But the only crazy thing is they're all East Africans.
Yeah.
And they've all got cameras like what you see these guys doing, you know, and they're all taking pictures, and guys are like, who are these?
Who are these?
But then they're going to the children's homes in those areas. They're going to the poor, and they're looking for places where they can impact.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, it even seems crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I believe we'll be those people.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll be those people who change the world because God has given us the resources to do it.
Such amazing conversations. I can't wait for the episodes to come because I believe we're in for some real treat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the things I want to challenge people is to say, stick in, make this a regular part of your routine every week. Make this business show. It's actually a business service. Make it part of your worship, you know. As you worship in your church, also participate in this conversation. Let this be the conversation for your business, you know, because the equipping is there, it's available. And I really believe that God wants us to begin to clean our minds, to prepare our hearts for the things that are coming. I mean, I love history, by the way. We're making history today.
We are.
I mean, this is going to be one of those shows guys will be looking for the pilot to say, what were those crazy guys thinking, you know? And they'll be like, we were part of this. For all of you who are watching right now, you are part of history. And years to come, decades to come, we'll be looking back and saying something new was being birthed. And now we're the recipients of it, and we're impacting the world because of it.
Amazing. And in a short while, Pastor Em, I'll be asking you to pray for us before we close. Well, business people, in this fearsome world, you need to be fearless. Your business needs to be a fearless business. And a fearless business cannot be run by anyone other than a fearless business owner. I've been your host, David O. Sijenyi, and it's really been an honor having this conversation with you today. And I'll invite Pastor M to just conclude for us.
Absolutely.
In prayer.
Thank you. Hey, I'm so excited. Let's pray together. Let's believe together and pray. Father, thank you for everyone who's watching this absolute first episode, our pilot. What a historic day that we can be together just to be equipped, be challenged. I pray that even this mind shift has even begun already. That already you've got our minds racing, our imaginations racing. We can see the potential and the possibilities. I pray for everybody here, whether they're an entrepreneur who owns a business, whether they're an intrapreneur who works in another business, whether they're unemployed and maybe just thinking about what could be because you have an idea for them that is going to change the world. I pray for every one of us that, Lord, wherever we are, that, Lord, you would stir our hearts, stir our spirits, stir our imagination, get us excited about the things that are coming. I pray that, Lord, you'd move our minds away from the hustle mentality, that mentality that I'll never have enough, to begin to even give us an understanding of your ways and the way you operate. And I pray that as a result, you would raise up a church across this continent and beyond of believers, next generation believers who are passionate for Jesus, who are not ashamed of their faith, who are able to go out across the world, excelling in the business sphere, making impact over many. And Lord, we pray that all the glory and honor will come, not to any single person, but to you. And so I speak a blessing over you. I speak a blessing over your family, your business, over everything you do. I even pray that this week you'll begin to start to see some differences in your business as you start to consider yourself a kingdom entrepreneur in everything that you do. And so I bless you, God's people, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And God's people say it together. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for watching and be fearless.
Be fearless.